Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Yellowstone plot hole backlash as fans label murder count exhausting. Yellowstone is never short of a dramatic death or two, but not all fans are happy with the show's quick turnaround. Set in the small town of Darby, Montana, the Paramount Network drama sees the Dutton family regularly go head-to-head with their rivals in a bid to maintain their power as well as their land. While not all of the Dutton's victims have been deserving of death, many have met their maker, whether it be at the hands of John Dutton, played by Kevin Costner, one of his offspring, or ranch hand Rip Wheeler, Cole Hauser. From the strangulation of journalist Sarah Nguyen, Michaela Conlin, and hanging of Wade Morrow, Boots Sutherland, to the mafia-style shooting of Garrett Randall, Will Patton, the Duttons have been behind them and plenty more. This prompted a Yellowstone fan to take to community forum Reddit to share their disbelief at the amount of deaths in Darby. Starting off the thread, they wrote, "I'm 4 seasons in, and on the cusp of throwing in the towel. Frankly, I find the show exhausting. The extent to which the family murders with impunity is simply too much to swallow. It's set outside a small valley town of plus or minus 1,000 residents, none of whom finds anything odd about its stratospheric homicide rate. At +/10 per year, that would make it the murder capital of the world by a margin of 5x. The fact that each and every one of those murders is linked to the same family/ranch also seems lost on the locals and federal authorities. Even when an office building is blown up on Main Street and a gunfight with automatic weapons erupts within city limits, catching multiple locals in the crossfire. The Yellowstone viewer wasn't the only one to pick up on the number of deaths at the hands of the Duttons either. Another wrote, "I'm halfway through season 2 and I'm feeling the same way. I remember Dallas and this is very similar, just one murder plan to the next, and no one bats an eye." While a third agreed, that town's death count would make it seem that every serial killer in the US lived there. John Dutton star Kevin Costner quit the show last year, as it has been reported that filming schedules conflict with his new project, Horizon, an American saga, which he will star in and direct. It is unclear if he will be back for the second half of Series 5, which is set to air sometime in November 2024, and there are more questions around how he will make his exit if he's not featured. Could it be that it is now John's death that is on the cards after countless murders to protect his precious ranch? Yellowstone, Taylor Sheridan's wildly popular neo-Western drama, has captivated audiences with its rugged landscapes, tangled family dynamics, and ruthless depictions of loyalty and power. However, as the series pushes deeper into its 5th season, a vocal faction of fans has started voicing frustration over what they see as a glaring flaw in the show's storytelling: the ever-escalating murder count. Once praised for its gritty authenticity, Yellowstone is now facing backlash as viewers label its cavalier approach to death as exhausting and, worse, riddled with plot holes. The body count problem. Since its debut, Yellowstone has set itself apart with high-stakes drama and characters willing to go to extraordinary lengths to protect their legacy. But as bodies continue to pile up, ranging from cattle thieves to corporate rivals, fans have begun questioning the show's logic. How has the Dutton family managed to evade law enforcement, despite the trail of carnage leading straight to their doorstep? "The murder count is out of control," complained one viewer on social media. "It's like the Duttons are running their own mob in the middle of Montana, and nobody's batting an eye." Another fan echoed the sentiment. "At first, the deaths felt shocking and raw, but now it's just like, who's getting killed this week? It's exhausting and makes no sense." Beth Dutton, Queen of Carnage. A particular target of this backlash is Beth Dutton, played by Kelly Reilly, the sharp-toned, whiskey-swilling daughter of patriarch John Dutton, Kevin Costner. Beth's ferocity has always been a central draw for viewers, but her increasingly violent behavior has raised eyebrows. One scene in particular has drawn ire. Beth orchestrates the murder of a business rival in broad daylight, a crime that seemingly vanishes without consequences. How many murders can one character be connected to before someone notices? Wrote a Reddit user. Beth is supposed to be smart, but even the smartest criminal would be caught by now. Beth's unchecked aggression, once a hallmark of her character's strength, now risks veering into caricature, Critics argue that this lack of accountability undermines the show's credibility and cheapens its storytelling. Jamie Dutton, the convenient scapegoat. Then there's Jamie Dutton, Wes Bentley, the Dutton family's black sheep and perpetual punching bag. Fans have noted that Jamie often becomes the convenient fall guy for the family's misdeeds, a trope that's wearing thin. Whenever there's a murder, it's like, "Don't worry, Jamie will clean it up," said one disgruntled fan. It's lazy writing. Jamie's character deserves more depth than just being the Dutton's fixer. In the most recent season, Jamie is seen disposing of yet another body in a remote location, a task he approaches with the weary resignation of someone who has done this far too often. It's become a running joke. One commenter quipped, "Jamie might as well have a loyalty card for the body disposal service." The law enforcement blind spot. One of the most glaring plot holes highlighted by fans is the apparent incompetence of local law enforcement. Yellowstone's depiction of Montana paints a picture of a state where everyone, from sheriffs to federal agents, is either corrupt, clueless, or inexplicably terrified of the Duttons. Are we supposed to believe that a ranching family has more power than the federal government? Asked a skeptical viewer. At some point, someone would have connected the dots. Sheriff Donnie Haskell, played by Hugh Dillon, has long been portrayed as a reluctant ally of the Duttons, often turning a blind eye to their misdeeds. But fans argue that his complicity has stretched the bounds of plausibility. Haskell isn't just ignoring crimes, he's actively helping them cover it up, said one critic. It's lazy storytelling to assume viewers won't question this. The Rip Wheeler effect. Rip Wheeler, Cole Hauser, Yellowstone's brooding enforcer, has long been a fan favorite, but even Rip's most ardent supporters are beginning to question the sheer volume of people he's killed or disappeared on John Dutton's orders. Rip's loyalty is admirable, but it's gotten to the point where he's more hitman than cowboy, one fan lamented. It's hard to root for someone who's essentially a serial killer at this point. Some fans have suggested that the show would benefit from exploring the psychological toll of Rip's actions. "We never see Rip wrestle with guilt or regret," said one viewer. "That would add layers to his character and make the murders feel less gratuitous." Is Yellowstone losing its heart? At its core, Yellowstone has always been about the Dutton family's struggle to hold onto their ranch in the face of relentless external pressures. But as the series leans harder into violence, some fans worry it's losing the emotional depth that made it special. "Yellowstone used to be about family, land, and legacy," said a longtime viewer. "Now it feels like it's just about who can kill the most people without getting caught." Critics have called for a return to the show's roots, urging Sheridan to focus less on murder and more on the relationships and moral dilemmas that made the early seasons so compelling. The way forward. Despite the backlash, Yellowstone remains a ratings juggernaut, and its fan base is as passionate as ever. But if the show wants to maintain its place as a cultural phenomenon, it may need to address these growing criticisms. Some fans have proposed potential solutions, such as introducing a formidable antagonist from law enforcement or a rival family who can hold the Duttons accountable. Others have suggested delving deeper into the psychological and emotional fallout of the family's actions, giving the violence more weight and consequence. Ultimately, the question is whether Sheridan is willing to adapt his storytelling to address these concerns, or whether he'll double down on the high-octane, blood-soaked drama that has defined Yellowstone thus far. As the Duttons face their most perilous challenges yet, one thing is clear. Yellowstone's legacy hangs in the balance, and the fans are watching closely. Whether the series can reclaim its authenticity or succumbs to its own excesses will determine its place in TV history.